My pranams to all Atma Jyotis, divine light of the self. I welcome all of you for today's session of Brahma Sutra. Let us offer prayers to Guru Parampara, Sri Shankaracharya, and then begin. Sada Shiva Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam, Shruti Smriti Purananam, Alayam Karunalayam, Namami Bhagavat Padam, Shankaram, Loka Shankaram. So if you remember last class, what we said, Purva Pakshi had given had raised an objection. Jiva and Brahma, Jiva and Ishvara cannot be same. And the answer which we gave was, at the Vyavaharika level, at the transaction level, Jiva is different from Ishvara. The difference are only in the Upadhi, conditioning. But at Paramarthika level, Jiva and Ishvara are one at the absolute level. So when we speak of Tattvamasi, we are speaking of the Paramarthika level, not at the Vyavaharika level. So one example, how can be President of India and I be same? President of India is all powerful. I'm an ordinary person. So the President and I are definitely not the same. At the Vyavaharika level, at the transaction level, President has more powers, I have very less powers. President is respected by all. Like that, there's a difference at the Vyavaharika level. Difference is there at the Jiva and Ishvara at the Vyavaharika level, at the transaction level. But at the absolute level, Jiva and Ishvara are one. President is a human being and I am a human being. At that level, both are same at human being level. So, Tattvamasi Vakya has to be understood at the Paramarthika level, not at the Vyavaharika level. And Vyavaharika level is not real, it's Mithya, it's appearance. So only reality is Paramarthika. So from that perspective, what is Vyavaharika Mithya we have to ignore, and what is Satya we have to focus on, and that is Atma, or that's Brahman. Jivatma, Paramatma, Ekatvam has to be understood at that level. So that's what we discussed in the last class. So now, continuing further, what is the phala or effect of this realization? What happens if you realize you are Brahman? That's the next sutra, sutra number 344. So our understanding Jiva and Ishvara oneness has to be understood at the Paramarthika level. Tattvamasi means at the Paramarthika level, Jiva and Ishvara are one. At the Vyavaharika level, there's definitely differences because of Upadhi, conditioning. And Vyavaharika is temporary, Mithya. So only focus on what is reality. Atma is Brahman. That we have to understand. So we are going to next sloka. Individual soul becomes one with the infinite as per scriptures. So what is the phala of the realization? What is the effect of realization? Individual soul of Jiva becomes one with the infinite Brahman, as per the scriptures. 344. What is the meaning of this? Upanishads again and again repeat, you are Brahman, Tattvamasi. Chandogya Upanishad repeats Tattvamasi 9 times. You are that. So Father tells Shvetaketu, Uddalaka, Father tells Shvetaketu in Chandogya Upanishad 9 times, you are Brahman, Tattvamasi. So Upanishads don't repeat anything unnecessarily. Even 2 repetitions are not there. 9 times repetition is a very important thing being repeated. So what is the effect of realization? Mundaka Upanishad 3.2.9 says, Brahmavid Brahmayo Bhavati. Knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. One who knows Brahman will become Brahman. Then Purvapakshi will come and say, it's impossible. knower becomes known is impossible. I know this book, but I can't become book. I know this fruit, I cannot become fruit. The knowing anything, you cannot become that. How can you become what you know? Knower and known are always separate. Knower cannot become known. So that's why Abheda Vakya, or the teaching of Upanishad, where Jivatma is one with Paramatma, has to be interpreted in different way. Knower can never become known. Brahmavid Brahmayo Bhavati. Knower of Brahman becomes Brahman only. It's impossible. It's impossible in the world. I know my friend. I cannot become my friend. Right? So knowledge does not lead to identity, ekatvam, oneness. So what is the objection? What is the answer for this? What do you think answer is? How known can become one? Knower and known can never become one. It's a fact. It's impossible. They are 2 separate entities. But if the difference is real, it can never lead to identity. Jiva Ishvara difference is there at the Vyavaharika level, at the transaction level. Already we have shown the transaction level is mithya, unreal. If the real difference is there, it can never become one. So because it's mithya, unreal, you can achieve, you can become one. You can retain oneness. Real differences can never be. If the real difference is that knower and known cannot become one, impossible. If the differences are not real, mithya, then only it's possible. So Jiva Ishvara difference is the Vyavaharika level, and Vyavahara is mithya. At Paramarthika level, they're one. So then how, if Paramarthika level are one, how Jnana with Jnana, how can somebody become real? How can somebody become Brahman? So at the Paramarthika level, Jiva and Ishvara are one. But the Jiva does not know. He has a misconception. I am body, I am mind, I am intellect. He identifies with the Upadhi, conditioning. So by removing the misconception, Jiva will recognize the oneness which is already there. It is not that he will become one. It's only misconception removal, not becoming one with Brahman. Brahma with Brahmayo Bhavati means knower of Brahman becomes Brahman only does not mean he'll become Brahman fresh. He was Brahman earlier. He was under the misconception that I am body and mind and intellect, because he was identifying the upadhis, conditioning in the Vyavarika level. So this conditioning misconception can be removed. That's all you can do with Jnana. Otherwise, it's a very well-known fact that if I know something, I cannot become that. So, a person is called Rama. He drinks alcohol. Then he starts thinking he's Duma. Rama becomes Duma because he's an alcoholic influence. So then when alcoholic influence is removed, he understands he Rama only. Similar Jiva, under the influence of Maya, ignorance, thinks that I am Atma, under the ignorance of Maya, thinks that I am Jiva. When the ignorance is removed, Jnana is only helping to remove the ignorance. So then Atma is recognized as Brahman. Atma, Jivatma is Brahman only recognition. So Jnana does not make Jivatma and Paramatma one. Jnana only helps you to recognize Jivatma and Paramatma already one by removing the misconception. So that's why Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says 4.4.6, Jivatma becomes one with Brahman through knowledge. So once Jivatma recognizes that I am Brahman through knowledge, he recognizes that I was Brahman earlier also. It's not that I became Brahman now. Even before recognition I was Brahman, even during recognition I am Brahman, and after recognition also I am Brahman. I was Brahman all the time, but I had a misconception of I am Jiva because of identification with Upadhi for some time. So Jivatma doesn't become Brahman. Jiva does not become Brahman. Jiva is Brahman. That recognition happens. And Jiva recognizes I was Brahman all the time. Not even when you are ignorant, when you are in ignorance also, Jiva is Brahman only. You may think you are not Brahman, but Jiva is Brahman only. A Rama drinks alcohol and thinks he is Duma. But his friends know he is Rama only. He is under the influence of alcohol. So similarly, Jiva is known to be Brahman, whether he knows himself or not. Jiva is none other than Brahman. Even before realization is Brahman, during realization is Brahman, during ignorance also is Brahman. Wave is water, whether wave reckons I am water or not. The wave thinks I am separate from water, I am suffering. Then the wave is taught, forget your nama and rupa, name and form, you are water only, and water has no birth and death. Wave feels I am born and dying. Wave is afraid. The wave is taught, you don't have birth and death as water. Then wave becomes peaceful. But before realization that I am water, wave was afraid and fearful, but it was water only. It didn't know. During its ignorance, wave was water only. After realization, wave is water only. After realization, wave say, oh, I was water all the time. Unnecessarily, I was afraid in between. Similarly, Jiva, before realization is Brahman, in ignorance is Brahman, and he recognizes I am Brahman. Then he recognizes that I am Brahman, I was Brahman all the time. I am Brahman all the time. Not because if you become Brahman temporarily, then you lose it. What you gain, you lose it. What you are always, you'll never lose it. Is it clear? So what is Jivatma? What is Paramatma? Jivatma is the consciousness and Paramatma is the universal consciousness, cosmic self, individual self. Individual self is contained within this body, appears to be contained within this body. Body is the Upadhi. Individual self appears to be limited to the body. And Paramatma appears to be limited to the universe. So the Jiva, the body is a small container, universe is a big container. Container size is different, big and small. But content, what is there inside is consciousness only. And what is the limiting factor? Wall, body. So that body does not limit the consciousness. Like I gave the example of space last time. The space inside the house and space outside the house are one and the same. So Jivatma and Paramatma are like space. The space cannot be limited by the walls. Space appears to be limited by wall, but not limited by wall. Similarly, consciousness of Jivatma, Atma. Atma is consciousness and Paramatma is consciousness. As consciousness, there is no separation, difference. But consciousness within the wall, the space within the wall appears to be different. So I said, this is my house. Okay. What do we say? There's a wall here. What is house is nothing but space. But space I'm calling is house because of wall. But wall does not cut the space. Wall gives a notion of a space, personal space, idea of a personal space. So similarly, the consciousness within the body gives the notion of an individual Atma, individual Jiva. Really, Jiva, Atma and Paramatma are one, infinite self. So then what appears to be different is the Upadhi, conditioning, the vessel, the body as a vessel, the universe as well. Universe is a bigger vessel, Ishvara is a bigger, universe is big, Ishvara is the consciousness within that big vessel and the consciousness in the smaller vessel. Is the difference clear? So consciousness wise, there's no difference at all. At Paramarthic level, there's no difference at all. At the Upadhi level, there's a difference. Now the Purvapakshi raises the objection. The objection raised by Purvapakshi in sloka number, in sutra number 345. My dear sir, you are telling Shrutis are saying Abhayada, Abheda. Means non-difference Shrutis are saying. And Shruti is also saying Veda. There are some Vakyas in the Shruti, there is Veda Vakyas also. Separation is told in some Vakya sentences. No separation is told in some sentences. Upanishads have a mixture of two. Veda is told somewhere, Abheda is told somewhere. But you are selecting only Abheda Vakya. You are actually taking partial view. Right? You are not taking the full view of the Upanishad teaching. Only some sentences which are convenient to you are taking. Remaining you are living. So that's why you take Upanishad in totality. Veda and Abheda, both you take as real. How do you take Veda and Abheda as totally real? Veda and Abheda are real. Both you take it together. Just don't take Abheda. Abheda means oneness. Sentence only. There are Veda sentences, there is separation, the sentences are there which says Jiva and Ishvara is separate. We take them together. Then why if we take them together, what happens to you? So then it becomes Veda Abheda. philosophy. Bheda, abheda. There is separation, but there is oneness. So that is more closer to reality. Just instead of being abheda. How we have to take? Like the coil of a snake. The coil of a snake, I'll tell you what. So this is 345 sloka. Also like light and its substratum, because both are luminous. 346. 345 and 346. Purvapakshi is coming and saying, you are taking a selective reading of Upanishads. Upanishads have both teachings. Jiva is separate from Ishvara is there. Okay. The Veda has full of 90% of 95% of Veda is Karma Kanda, where you are offering prayers to God. Ishvara is separate. Okay. And Upanishads also, there are sentences. For example, there is a teaching in Upanishad, Dva Suparna Saja Sakayam. Mundaka Upanishad, a shloka comes. Dva Suparna Saja Sakayam. A tree is there. There are two birds, Jivatma and Paramatma. Jivatma is eating fruits of the tree and suffering. The fruits of trees, karma. And Paramatma, the bird which is sitting on the top of the branch, is watching the Jivatma eating the fruit. So Mundaka Upanishad very clearly says Jivatma and Paramatma. Paramatma is the bird Sakshi watching. Jivatma is the bird enjoying karma phala. Is this Bheda Vakya? Separation? Is it dualistic teaching? Then you say Tattvamasi, you are Brahman. So now you combine these two into one, make two in one. You say the reality is Bheda Abheda. Don't only choose selectively Abheda Vakya. Is the logic clear, Purvapakshi? He says Abheda is, Purvapakshi says, I agree that there's Abheda Vakya. That means there is no separation, Vakyas are there. Okay, there are sentences which says there is no separation. I agree with that. But there are sentences which says there is separation between Jivatma and Paramatma also. Don't ignore, don't be selective in teaching. Combine these two into one. Say Bheda Abheda. There is separation, but there is oneness. So this is where three philosophical systems came. Dvaita philosophy system focus on the Bheda, separation sentence which has separation. Okay. Advaita focus on sentences which are oneness. So Purvapakshi says, please combine two into one and make Bheda Bheda. That becomes Vishishta Advaita. Right? So I told you Veda, Dvaita, Vishishta Advaita and Advaita philosophy, like the story of Hanuman. Hanuman, somebody asked Hanuman, who is Rama to you? Hanuman said, when I open my eyes, I feel I am body and Rama is a person. Rama is my master. So I am servant of Rama. I am separate from Rama. Okay, but if I sit for meditation, I feel connected to Rama. I'm still separate, but I feel connected. But if I enter into deep meditation, I'm not there, only Rama is there. Atma Rama. So these are three philosophical systems. Veda means separation you have to see. Okay. So Veda means separation. So Dvaita philosophy is focus on the Veda. Vishishta Advaita philosophy focus on Veda Veda. And Advaita philosophy focus on Veda, Abheda. So Purvapakshi is saying, I'm not saying Veda is also real. I'm not saying Abheda is also real. Veda Veda is real. Vishishta Advaita or that your focus. Are you clear? So do you agree with this argument? There is a fault in this argument. Then he gives some more argument, very strong argument. The argument he says, all Upanishads are teaching no Brahman, Brahmadnana. You get Brahmadnana. Jnana is possible only when there is a Veda. If there's separation, then Jnana is possible. If there is no separation, where is Jnana possible? After Jnana, you feel oneness. That's why Veda is real. See, if I say, I don't know English, study English, get English Jnana. So, Jnana, by getting Jnana, what was not earlier, you'll get that. So that's where he says, a Bheda or oneness is possible because Veda was also real earlier. Separation was also real earlier. That's why Upanishad said get Jnana. Because Jnana is possible only when there is separation. Right? This is the logic of Prabhuji. Then he gives one more very strong logic. Tell me, a person who gets Jnana, what is he called? Okay? What is he called, a person who gets Jnana? He is called Brahmadnani. Correct? So there's Brahma is also there, Jnana is also there. There's duality is there still. Huh? If you are calling Brahmadnani, that means Brahma is there, Jnani is there. So you please accept the logic that Veda is real, Vishishta is real. How do you accept Veda? Say Jivatma is separate from Paramatma. He is like an Amsha, a part. A tree is there. Leaf is a part of the tree. Leaf is a small part of the tree. Is leaf the tree? No. Veda is there. But leaf is also a part of the tree. All right. In the sense, Abheda is there. Or oneness is there because leaf is part of the tree. Okay. But leaf is not same as the tree. Leaf is an Amsha of the tree, small Amshi. Small part of the tree. Like that, you say Jivatma is a small part of Paramatma, Amshi. Jivatma is small part of tree. Then both will be acceptable. Veda is also there, Abheda is there. Upanishad Vakyas are matching. Is logic very clear? He says, see, Upanishad tell a person who gets Brahmadnana is Brahmadnani. That is, Brahma is there, Jnani is there. Duality still continues. That's why you take Jiva and Ishvara as Veda or Vishishta Advaita is true. So he gives some example. The example is, a snake is there. A snake has hood. The snake has a coil, the tail. Okay, it coils. Now, hood of the snake is part of the snake. Hood of the snake is part of the snake. But hood is not the snake. Hood being part of the snake, there's a Veda. Hood is being different from this, different compared to snake, is Veda is there. Hood being part of the snake, is Veda also is there. Like snake is coiled. Okay. So the coiling of the snake, the tail, also looks like also is part of snake. But it's not the snake. Like the Jiva is not Brahman. Jiva is part of the Brahman, but Jiva is one with the Brahman. Veda, Abheda is real. Accept it. Another example he gives. Light is there. Sunlight is there. And sunlight is, the light rays are falling on the earth. So rays are same as sunlight. But rays are small rays. Both are light. Sun is the source, rays are small rays. That's like that. Jivatma is small percentage of Paramatma. Veda is there, Abheda is there. Both are light, I agree. Jiva is a small light, Paramatma is a big light. If you accept it, Veda, I am fine. Then both are inseparable. You cannot remove the light rays from light. Jiva cannot be separated from Brahman. But Jiva is not same as Brahman. Veda, Aveda, both are there. So accept this argument. And you are saying one who knows Brahman is Brahmadnani. That means Brahma is there, Dnani is there, duality is there. Except this is called Purvapakshi's Vada. Is the logic clear? Any mistake you find in this logic? Logic seems to be so perfect. And Purvapaksha says it has to be very real. So he says, Upanishads are telling, get Brahmadnana. Jnana Mukti. Jnana is alone for liberation. Okay. So to get Jnana, you should be separate. Otherwise, it will never be possible to get Jnana. And after getting Jnana, also you will become Brahmadnani. Brahma, Jnani, both will remain. Veda will remain. So answer this Purvapakshi's question is in the next class. Why? Why Purvapakshi's argument is flaws are there, mistakes are there. So basically this argument is about what we call as Vishishtadvaita. So Purvapakshi says, my dear sir, our Vedas are 98% all karma kanda. You worship Ishvara, get something, Ishvara is separate from you, Veda is there. 98%. Some 1%, 2% Vakyas are there, which is Abheda. So you are giving too much importance to them. Not duality. Right? Rest of the Vakyas, you are ignoring. So combine both of them. Give real justification to Upanishads. They are speaking of Veda, not Abheda, not Dvaita, not Advaita. Whereas Dvaita teachings, they focus on separation. Vishishtadvaita says separation is there, oneness is there, like a tree and its leaf. And Advaita says no separation, oneness is there. So this is the example of Hanuman with the waking state when he is body conscious, how he sees the world. In the meditation, how he sees the world, and deep sleep. Body consciousness is Dvaita, meditation is Vishishtadvaita, and Samadhi is Advaita. So these are the three stages. So focus of Dvaita teaching is when you are body conscious, how do you have to think, take whole thing as Ishvara and do service. And Vishishtadvaita or Veda is how you have to meditate, Upasana. Advaita is how to get a Jnana. So like that, they are not opposing each other. They are telling different experiences in that sense. But Purvapakshi says, focus on Veda. That's most real, natural. So let us sit, let us do a few, first let us complete this question and then question answer. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Nanu Nanembudu Nanalla Ideha Manabuddhi Nanalla Sachidanandatma Shivananani Shivoham Shivoham Shivoham, Atma Darshanam, Brahma Darshanam, Brahma Darshanam, Satya Darshanam, Antar Jyoti, Bahir Jyoti, Pratyak Jyoti, Paratpara, Jyotireva Jyoti, Swayam Jyoti, Atma Jyoti, Shivosmiham, Lokaha Samastaha, Sukhino Bhavantu, Lokaha Samastaha, Sukhino Bhavantu, Lokaha Samastaha, Sukhino Bhavantu, Harihi Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Harihi Om. So there are, you can have a look at the Light of Self YouTube channel or website. You can subscribe to them. You can forward also to your friends if they are interested. There are children channel called I Read, that also can be shared with people. Any questions? So why Veda is real? Any doubts? Yes, Ramprakash, unmute. Gayatri, can you unmute, please? Ramprakash, yes.
Namaste, Guruji. But initially, karma kandadalli Veda idde iruttalla, Guruji. Only after realization only I can be a Brahman or oneness can come. But in the initial stage, for any mumukshugalige,
the question which is being asked, okay, the question being asked is not that question, because what is final reality?
Final, that is absolute. That is
no absolute. He is not speaking absolute reality. He is saying in absolute also there is a separation.
Oh, there is Purupakshi.
Purupakshi is saying, so you are bringing a Vyavarika and Paramarthika. Okay, Vyavarika, there's a Mithya, Paramarthika, Satya. Purupakshi is saying, Upanishads are not speaking of Mithya or Satya. Upanishads are speaking only one reality. Dvaita is there, Advaita is there. So there is a combination of Veda is there. Only one reality is there.
Correct, but initially as a person starts Adhyatma Jivanat, whatever it is, but he starts with the Veda only, no?
No. That question is not what he starts. The question is where he ends.
Correct, that I agree. But what my understanding is, initially he starts with Veda.
No. What you are saying,
God is separate.
The Purupakshi is not questioning what you are saying. Okay. Purupakshi is saying Advaita
Veda,
means
both are there.
Advaita means non-duality is the final reality.
That's fine.
Purupakshi says non-duality is not final reality. Veda, Abheda will continue is the final reality.
That's Prashna chanayitu. Brahmagnani in there.
Brahman is there, Gnani is there. That's a duality will continue.
that was very nice question, actually.
So he is not speaking of initial stage. He is speaking final realization.
Final realization. Okay. Allah, generally we start with Veda. Then ends with the.
He is not at all questioning the starting point. He says, finally, you will never become Brahman. You will be part of Brahman.
Vishishtadvaita.
More
philosophy confused my bit, Purupakshi.
So he says, we should not ignore some sentence of Upanishad.
Okay.
You have to take both. I am not saying Advaita is false or Dvaita is false. Both are there. Dvaita and Advaita together, two in one. Vishishtadvaita.
So for the answer, we have to wait for next class.
Answer you have to wait for next class. Right? In Vishishtadvaita philosophy, what happens? You'll get Mukti. Mukti means you'll go to Vaikuntha Loka or Vaikuntha Loka, Brahma Loka. So then you'll become servant, you'll serve God, Brahman. So then finally merger means you'll become one Amsha of Brahman, maybe one part of Brahman. So that's the Mukti.
Okay, we'll wait for the answer next.
Okay, we'll wait for the answer next class. So anybody else, any questions? Yes, Deepti, Vani, any questions?